Yes, guys, and welcome to the Sunderland Transfer Deadline Day special. Now, of course, yesterday was Transfer Deadline Day, and it was, as always, chaotic. It was crazy. It was frantic. We had incomings, outgoings. We had recalls from loans for players that we've had for a matter of weeks. We had it all. It was crazy. But not only was Transfer Deadline Day crazy, I just want to say off the bat, this entire transfer window has been crazy for Sunderland. It's been the biggest in my lifetime, the biggest sort of transformational, transitional, sensational transfer window that I've seen in the sort of nearly 30 years I've been supporting the club, and it's been absolutely crazy. Now, that's not to say it's been perfect, because of course you can't judge a transfer window ultimately until the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it's given me such confidence going into this season, and to see the ambition of Kirill Dreyfus, Speetman, Jasolfi we've brought in. It's been so refreshing, and to see that we're really giving it a go, and that's something you can't accuse them of not doing. They really have given it a go. It has filled me with confidence, and it's put us in what I believe to be the best position we could have possibly been in to try and stay in this division and further on. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for it. But this video is about just Transfer Deadline Day, and before we do get into it, hit the like button for me, smash it to bits, it'd be massively, massively appreciated, and subscribe if you're new. There's still 63% of you guys that are regularly viewing the videos. Hopefully you're enjoying the content and you're not yet subscribed. So if you could do that for me, it'd be really appreciated. We are heading towards 18,000 subscribers. I think as I'm recording this, we're almost bang on 100 subscribers away. So if 100 of you guys are watching this and you're not yet subscribed, do it. But getting into the video, of course, I'm going to go through everything that happened on Transfer Deadline Day. I've taken several notes for this one. Usually every video I do, I improvise and just ramble straight off the top of the dome. But with so much happening yesterday, I had to take some notes because I would absolutely have missed something out. So we're going to start off on the Sunday, the night before Transfer Deadline Day. So there was rumours, there were reports that Chelsea were looking to recall striker Mark Guiu. Of course, he's only played, I think, 2 or 3 games for us, scored a goal against Huddersfield, which he'll be fondly remembered for. But there was rumours that he was going to be recalled because Chelsea, they had the injury to Liam Delap. Nicholas Jackson looked like he was en route to Bayern Munich. So there was rumours that Guiu was going to get recalled. And at first I thought, that's bollocks. There's no way we're going to let that happen 24 hours before the deadline day, or the deadline should I say. We're never going to let that happen in a million years. But then deadline day morning did roll around, and it was all but confirmed that Guiu was in fact heading back to Chelsea. So we're thinking, surely we have a striker waiting in the wings to come in. And so at that point, we're panicking a little bit. Little did we know, hindsight can only show us, that we did in fact have a striker waiting in the wings. But what I do believe was absolutely genius business with this Guiu recall, by the way, which of course, it was highly inconvenient. It was a situation that was brought upon us spontaneously. It was something that we had to deal with immediately, and the way the club dealt with it was, in my eyes, genius. Now, to my understanding, of course, I don't have the absolute 100% greatest knowledge on earth when it comes to transfers, incomings, loan fees, compensation fees, and what have you, but to my understanding, we actually negotiated a higher fee in terms of a compensation fee for the Guiu return than the loan fee we paid to bring him in the first place. And what we did is use the rumoured £5 million compensation fee that we received from Chelsea for sending Guiu back. We used that £5 million to fund a loan for Geertruida, a defender from Leipzig. And not only did we just bring in this high-profile, highly exciting defender, who is a very high-caliber defender, by the way, we hijacked Marseille, who were on the verge of signing him. So I just thought, on paper, this looks incredible. We have signed Mark Guiu, a striker on loan, for a matter of weeks, send him back, get money for him, and then fund a loan for a player that is ultimately, in my eyes, a better player in terms of the usage we're going to get out of him. And that's not to knock Mark Guiu, but, with Mark Guiu, we already had Wilson Isidore, we have Mayenda, so is he going to start every week? Geertruida, it's maybe a similar thing. He might not start every week, but my God, he should. So we'll move on to that. Genius piece of business. We've got Jasolfi, we've got KLD playing 5k chess directly in front of our eyes. But of course, at this moment, we didn't know that whether another striker was going to come in. Rumours here and there, but nothing as of that time. But we will move on to Geertruida. Now, I'm definitely going to butcher his first name, but Lutcherel Geertruida, we did bring him in from Leipzig on a loan deal with an 8 million option to buy at the end of this deal. Now, he is profoundly a right back, but has had plenty of experience at centre back as well. He is a Netherlands international. He previously played at Ajax as well. Played 161 games at right back, scoring 24 goals and 11 assists. He's also played 115 games across his career at centre back as well, scoring 15 goals and 2 assists. Now, again, it's not one of them that I'm going to sit there and pretend I know absolutely everything about him. I'm going to say that about a lot of these players, or at least the other couple of players. I know bits and pieces, and of course only watch compilations like everyone else, but he is what he looks to be a perfect fit for us. Really technically gifted, always thinking on the front foot, likes to get involved in the attack, loves a challenge as well, strong, quick. So a right back who can also play centre back as well, because of course a Lasumi deal went down the drain, didn't it? Because we didn't manage to get that one over the line. But to do this one on a whim, and I believe that this one was very, very last minute as well. As soon as we saw the opportunity and we saw that Marseille were about to sign him, we've gone in there and we've got our man immediately. So I'm so happy with this one, because if you have a look at our back four now, the change and the transformation and it is just mental. It was only 3, 4, 5 weeks ago where we had Harrison Jones at left back, we had Ballard and Seal and Hume, and we had literally no other options at all. Whereas now for left back we have Ronaldo, we have Masuaku, we have Sirkin who has to come back. You know, in the centre back places we have Alderete, we have Mukiele, Ballard comes back from injury, 09 comes back from injury, Alessi, who of course can play on the left hand side as well, Geertruida as well can play there, and at right back we have Hume and Geertruida who can also play there as well. So we've absolutely transformed that back line, which is going to be pivotal to our survival. So an absolutely outstanding piece of business getting this man in. I'm really, really excited about it, and I do want to reiterate again, that isn't me knocking Mark Guillou and saying he's shit and Geertruida's better. It's just in terms of usage, I think this man, it would prove to be a lot more vital, given that even though only over the course of a couple of games he's played for us, I think Isidore and Mayenda were going to just play the majority of the games up there, and then Guy will be stuck on for 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the end of the game. Physical striker to try and ruffle some feathers at the back end of a game type thing. Albeit that, you know, that is a great asset and sort of weapon to have in your arsenal. This man, I think, will prove to be just as valuable, and we'll get a lot more use out of him. But now we do have a string of outgoings, all loan moves. But we're going to start off with Alan Brown. He did go. He has signed a loan deal for the season with Middlesbrough, which, to be fair, I think is a really good move for him. Borough have had a great start to the season. You know, it's not too far from where he is now. I actually felt a little bit bad for Brown because he started the season so well in the Championship with us. I actually thought he was our best central midfielder when we first signed him. You know, after the first few games, I said that, you know, even though Dan Neil was a Rolls Royce in that league at times, Alan Brown looked fantastic, always positive, always looking to make things happen. But now in the Premier League, could he make that step up? He also got that injury in the Championship that I think hampered his progression with us. I think it's a very, very good move for him. And then another one, and it's an incredible move for him. Jensen Seal gets a loan deal to Wolfsburg, real high-profile club there for him. I don't think he put much of a foot wrong, to be honest with you. Of course, he's had his injury issues through pre-season. I think he looked fantastic. Yeah, he had a tough game against Burnley, but other than that, I think he's actually looked really good, and he has a lot of potential, that lad. So I think it's an absolutely phenomenal move for him, and I hope he absolutely smashes it. And another outgoing, Niall Huggins to Wickham. Now, I thought this was a bit of a surprise one for me, because Niall Huggins on his day, I think, is a very, very good Championship defender, and he's still young. Yes, he's had a horrific injury record, so maybe sending him to somewhere like Wickham, where of course he's familiar with Mike Dodds, he knows how to use him, he knows him better than any other manager would. It probably is a good move in that sense. And I just hope in League One he just finds his feet again, gets some rhythm, and gets progressing again as a player, because like I said, he's been having a horrific time with injuries. He's had rotten luck, so all the best to him, and it's a decent move, I guess, given that he does have that connection already with Mike Dodds. Now for the heartbreaking one, which was Paddy Roberts to Birmingham. I didn't know, or at least I didn't think it had hurt me or upset me as much as it has, but seeing Paddy Roberts wearing a Birmingham shirt and not a Sunderland shirt did definitely have me choking up a little bit, purely because he's played such a pivotal role in this club and its journey back to the Premier League. Of course, you've got the goal at Hillsborough in that playoff semi-finals, which eventually we went up from League One to the Championship, which is still to this day some of the best limbs I've ever seen. You know, we had that amazing partnership with Amad Diallo under Tony Mowbray, and of course that assist to Mayenda at Wembley, which eventually set us up for our return to the Premier League. He's been such a figurehead. He's been such a vocal point of our success. Yeah, yes, can he be frustrating? Of course he can, but he's always been there. He's always given us his all. And he is a really, really good player on his day. It's just, if we've been brutally honest, we maybe haven't seen that enough in recent times. I think he maybe would have had the opportunity to do little bits in the Premier League, but someone like Patrick Roberts needs to be playing football, and I really, really hope, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, that he absolutely smashes it at Birmingham. I really, really do, because he is a quality player on his day. On his day in the Championship anyway, that lad is unplayable. It's just we haven't seen that enough. And if we're being ruthless, which is what we need to be, the upgrading quality from Championship quality players to the Premier League, and we've seen it across the board with the 14-15 signings we've made, the calibre has been a huge jump, a colossal jump. And I think that's what we are doing. And I think it was probably a right move for Paddy Roberts, but it goes with my best wishes. And again, I hope he smashes it. But then the rumours started to circulate regarding a striker, and eventually we did get it over the line. And this one I'm very, very excited for. Brian Brobbey from Ajax. Now, he does have a hell of a history, this lad, because it was only a few years ago when he was touted to be one of the most exciting young strikers in Europe. I've read up a lot on him. Last season, I will just say straight off the bat with this one, last season he didn't have a great season, albeit all you need to do is give it a Google search. And this isn't totally excusing what was a largely poor season for him, but off the field there was some crazy shit going on. I believe there was, I'm not going to speculate again too much, but something to do with maybe a friend or something being held for ransom and being blackmailed for money and all this kind of shit. He had so much going on behind the scenes that, again, can't completely excuse a sort of underperforming season, but he did have a lot going on. But prior to that, reading up on a lot of Ajax fans and the way that they viewed him, they thought coming through the academy, he was going to be their next sort of Patrick Kluivert, who of course is heralded there, is one of the best players that came out of Ajax many, many years ago. But if you have a look at some of the stats for him, it is mental. You can see why they were so excited. Of course, if you have a look at his under-19 record, when he did originally come through, or at least the year before he went up to first-team football, for the under-19s, he scored 37 goals in 41 appearances. So they thought, oh my God, we have got a hell of a striker on our hands, albeit, of course, in under-19s football. But then for Ajax, he went on and did very, very well. He scored 56 goals and 24 assists in 163 appearances for Ajax, which isn't a bad return in terms of a goal involvement ratio. I think that's really, really good. But as I say, he did have a bit of a bad year last year, I believe. But he's a player who he uses his physicality really well. Is very strong, which again, Mark Guiu was that player that we brought in on loan, wasn't it, to be that sort of physical presence. This lad has had a lot more experience than Mark Guiu. He's done it at an incredibly high level. Yes, he didn't have a great year last year, but how many times have we done it now over the years with Christian Speakman? We call it the rehab centre, where we bring out a player who used to have a lot of press about him. There was a lot of excitement around him, but then maybe they've tailed off a little bit in the career. Then we bring him back and we uplift him again. And he's only 23 years of age, and we've signed him for a fee of, I believe, around £17.3 million with around £4 million in add-ons as well. But now I'm so excited to see how he plays. He has a little bit of pace about him. He's really strong. And like I said, if you have a look at his compilation, the amount of times he just got his back to goal, he just bullies defenders, spins him, and just lashes it at goal. Like I said, I have read up on quite a lot of Ajax fans. It is really mixed reviews, but I don't know whether that's just almost recency bias, because of course, if a player hasn't had a great season, a lot of fans just say, oh, well, he's shit now, and just ignore the past, which I think is a little bit unfair, but that's the nature of the beast. Fans are very fickle, as am I, as we all can be at times. But what I have gleaned from it is maybe his technical ability at times isn't on point, and he sort of lashes out at chances as opposed to being a bit more composed. But again, I just think that sort of raw, and I say raw, he's had loads of experience, but I mean that sort of raw strength and power to bully defenders, that can be so, so useful. And on a 5-year deal as well, I'm really, really happy with this one. Really happy. And last but not least, Bertrand Traore. Now, we were sort of like scattering to see what kind of winger we're going to go for, because we're all screaming after the signing of Geertruida and Brobbey as well. We're all saying, are we going to squeeze a winger in? And we're getting rumoured left, right and centre with different wingers. And then it was confirmed that we have signed Bertrand Traore for £2.5 million, which I think is a bargain for a player of his experience. He's played at such a high level, and he's got experience in the Premier League. A right winger who, again, is an experienced lad, and it's only on a 1-year deal, so if it doesn't go to plan, it is what it is. But I don't think you can go wrong, particularly given the amount of money and some of the price tags we've put on some of the players that we've already brought in. $2.5 million for a player of his experience. We've got Tillery, who is raw, inexperienced. To have someone like Traore to show in the ropes a little bit on that right-hand side of midfield, it can only be a positive, and we do have an option of a further year if it does go well. So I'm really, really happy with the business. But that is pretty much everything summed up. I would give our window, you know what, I would probably give it a 10 out of 10. I don't think there was much more we could have done. Bertrand Traore at first, for me, I'll be totally honest, was the first one where I thought, oh, it feels like a bit of a panic buy at first. And but now I've had a bit of time to think about it. Like I said, $2.5 million for the experience he's got, and he does have ability. I can't turn my nose up at it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, mate. I can't, with the level of players that were brought in, it is just mental. I'm so excited to see how these players gel. Not really concerned, but one thing for me is because we do have so many players in now and high quality players, there's going to be some players that aren't going to be able to play, of course. We can only get 11 out on the pitch. So I would presume that they have been briefed, that, every player's going to play the role. You might have a string of games where you are on the bench. We're not having upset faces. We don't want players getting upset, and basically just getting the balance right in terms of morale and what have you. But everyone is going to play the part in this very long, excruciating Premier League season. So yeah, hopefully everyone's got the same mindset. Everyone's all on board. Everyone's moving towards the same goal of being successful in the Premier League, and hopefully that is the case come at the end of the season. But I'll leave it there, guys. That was just a ramble and a half. I do apologise, but there was just a lot to get through. But let me know in the comments down below how you felt about deadline day yesterday and the transfer window as a whole. What would you give it out of 10? I'm giving it a 10. I mean, of course, that can change come the end of the season. But as of right now, I don't think we could have done much more, to be honest with you. I really can't. But I'll leave it there. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. But for now, how are the lads? Keep the faith.